is up, everybody? It's a little bit different today because I am your host, Super Yaya, and I am joined by Dwayne Down Bad Brown. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing okay. I thought that could have been a lot worse than it was. I'm not happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not happy. But there were a couple of bright spots. One shining bright star, obviously, that we're going to talk about. And I met some new
One,
people sitting in the
oh,
stands. So shout out to my new friends from Nashville who
awesome.
just moved to Denver and came just to watch the Rapids. So
Feel so
that was
bad
cool.
for them.
Yeah, they had a lot of questions and they were all on point.
That's awesome, man. So before we get into the game, I just right off the bat, one word, describe your initial reaction to this game.
Anemic.
Anemic.
How's that
That is
in relation to the offense?
that is insanely accurate. If it were to me, it would be why.
It
Like
would be what?
why?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
As in, why do I keep watching this? Why do I put myself through so much pain? Why are they not scoring goals? So
That is the big question. That is the big question.
it's been a rough. It's definitely been about rough month for the Rapids and Rapids folks. But kind of recapping the game, first half nothing good, right? From the Rapids, kind of same pace that they always come out. Just kind of looked at them. They
Very
had
slow.
very slow, and honestly, Cincinnati dominated that first half. There weren't a lot of bright spots for Colorado. They had one shot on goal and one real opportunity that Leyva bounced it over the top. Right, second half, a lot better. Main differences: Bombi and Hanya come in. They bring a lot more offensive prowess. They start keeping the control of the ball a lot more, and you can really see the difference. And the Rapids were close to equalizing it a couple times, but there still weren't there, and they were able to get the ball in the back of the net. And you can really see the difference it is to have a Jack or a Rubio out there and not having them out there, especially in that second half.
Yeah, it was definitely the tale of two halves. Just a 180 difference between the two. The first one was very slow and very quote unquote rapids. Um, it just I don't know what it is about the first half, man. Like it's just uh
It's bad soccer. Like it was just really bad soccer from the
yeah,
Rapids.
it just felt very lethargic in the first half. Um and like you said, the offense is still very, just feels very anemic. The first half, especially. Second half was, at least in joy for me because I sit, on the other end. Um, I know, Kevin. um, it the second half was different. It's the Rapids, pretty much let Cincy control the entire first half. Cincy came out with a very aggressive press. It seemed like every time the Rapids got the ball and started doing their back pass thing, since he just kept pressing, it always had a man on somebody, and just was very aggressive. When we did get the ball in those few times that we did, um, just lacking in creativity and trying to, lacking in the ability to figure out how to get the ball into a place where we can take a shot. Second
That's
half was the opposite.
yeah, and let's just kind of focus on the first half right now.
Yeah.
Let's kind of just move our way up. Um, you're right. The first half was really bad, and a lot of it did come to Cincinnati being the number one team in the East. On the TV, they were giving the stat that they're the fastest team to get to 33 points since the year 2000. So they're on
Wow.
historic pace right now. That's including that 2000 that 2021 New England Revolution team that broke all records. So right now, Cincinnati is on historic pace. That is a great team on the other side.
For sure.
And regardless, the Rapids still had a really bad half, and probably should have been down by more. But you can see that even if the Rapids aren't that great, Cincinnati had a little respect for them. They kind of knew that you were going into a very hard place to win. Even if the Rapids have been bad at home lately, they Cincinnati still had that little respect. They never beat them before, and they know the Rapids are a tough out, even if the record doesn't show that. But kind of getting to that high press, one player that I was really disappointed in that first half was Connor Ronan. What do you think? What were your thoughts on Connor Ronan today? And then I'll kind of get into what I thought. Like, I'm curious if you saw the same things I did.
Probably not.
Hmm.
That's not where my eyes were in the first half. Save for when he completely put a guy in the spin cycle,
Oh, and that
which
that
was
right? Yeah.
totally dope. um, yeah, I mean the thing is, I mean, there's no denying that I'm a Connor Ronan fan.
You're a
So I'm
Ronan
not I'm not
mania.
gonna I'm not gonna pretend to hide that. But I think it's the same thing we've been talking about is trying to figure out like what position does Connor Ronan play, you know? and
You could probably say that for half the team at this point.
yeah,
Like,
and that's true.
honestly.
And I think, if that gets sorted out, then we might obviously it would be stronger performances from everybody, but I just sometimes with Connor, I feel like he's having to do too much, or it puts it on himself that he has to be everywhere at the same time and try to cover for things. But you see it from a completely different view, and certainly on TV you can see it at a way better view than I
Oh,
can. So
definitely. My biggest thing with Ronan today, and it sucks because I'm a Ronan guy too. I'm a Ronan not if you want to call that. But Ronan today in the first half, I thought was one of the reasons that these mistakes were made a lot in the half. He was losing the ball. He was passing it to the other team. He wasn't finding the right passing lanes. It might be because he's trying to do too much, and that's also partly Danny Leva, who I thought had a really bad first half too. That midfield
mhm.
combined didn't do much. That's when a player like Acosta really complements Ronan, and you saw it those two games in Charlotte and the one right after. I forget what it was, where Acosta was running back and forth or right before the Charlotte one because I think got injured in the Charlotte one. Regardless, Acosta does all the dirty work that lets Ronan roam and be the guy that he needs to be creative, running back and forth. Together, they make a Jack Price. And I don't think
Right.
Leiva's at that point yet because Ronan is trying to do what Leiva's doing and Leiva's trying to do what Ronan's doing. And it just becomes convoluted and they're not moving and they're not finding the right spaces. You do need a guy like Acosta out there with Ronan, somebody that brings that
Yep.
dog, somebody that can run out there and give him something different. But today, I think Ronan, and again, it might be that he's trying to do too much, but I feel like that first half caused a lot of the problems. And that midfield was not gelling at all. And it sucks to say because I'm a big Danny Leva guy, but he's also not. He hasn't played up to par lately these last couple of games.
Yep.
And Juaner's made a really good point on the comment section on Wednesday that it just comes down to a tactical player not knowing where to be because the team right now doesn't have a real identity. And that's when I say like most of these players, you don't know where to play him. Do you play Capral on the wing? Do you play him as a nine? Do you play Rubio as a 10? Do you play him as a nine? Where do you put Jonathan Lewis? You don't know where half of these players are playing right now. Govan, is
Yep.
he going to play the 10 or is he playing a wing back? So Bombito's played three positions already in and he's only played 3 games. So like where do you put these guys? Where can you look at them and say this is going to be where they're going to thrive? And I think that's one big issue right now, especially with Connor Ronan, that he's doing too much and he doesn't have a good piece to complement him right now. And that's where a lot of these like quick passes and mistakes are coming from in the midfield, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard to. It's like you're saying about the with the midfield. It's going to be hard, if not impossible, for them to gel until they know what positions they're playing. It's like how can they know, with eyes in the back of their head, where their partner is going to be on the pitch if they're constantly switching positions, whether that's on purpose or not on purpose. Um, I don't see that midfield gelling until we have consistency in who's on the pitch. And that's hard because, you've got injuries, you've got guys who are getting too many yellow cards. And it's just the roster is in a constant state of flux, which makes that impossible. Yeah. Also there's the missed tackle by Ronan that ended up in the goal too. It's like you kind of wish that he had taken the yellow card on that one. But he's so good on the ball. I think he was just confident thinking he could get the ball, and then everybody else was gone. Nobody else was back there. It was
saw Keegan sprinting trying to get back there.
was trying to get there, but it was pretty much, Badji had just a nice little run for himself by himself.
And on that note, what do you think about Badji tonight scoring and being out there with his former team? He was one of the guys that people were excited to see back in Colorado.
I mean, I think not that I've ever experienced being on a team and then playing against that team, but I don't know. You kind of got to feel like if you're going to play against your old team, you kind of want to put the ball in the net for fun, but I do want to say this. Badji is always going to be like a beloved Rapid. Like everyone loves Badji. And after he scored the goal, there was no celebration. There was no running over to C38 or doing anything crappy.
Not the Cabral, look at my back.
Yeah, there was nothing. Yeah. There was nothing like that. There was like next to no celebration. And that's where I was, sitting down there and watching it. It was a very quiet celebration from him, if any celebration at all. And you gotta figure that was on purpose because he's a good dude, and I do think that he knows he still has fans here, and he has good memories here. So I don't know. I feel like that was on purpose, and it's just another it's just another reason for me to like him and everybody else too. He's just he's a Rapid.
If you hate Badji at that point, you're just kind of hating to hate. The guy was a great Colorado Rapid. He was a team player. He didn't do anything crazy. I think he embodied the Rapid way more than anybody else, being a 4th round pick in the MLS Super Draft.
Yep.
They don't even have 4 rounds anymore to begin with. And it is very fitting that his first goal of the season comes against his former team.
And it's like you knew it was gonna happen. You knew it.
It's almost, I was more like upset when I saw Badji score. I was like, yeah, why didn't I just put money on it? Even if I didn't win, it was like it was almost a for sure bet. I really did regret that when I saw Badji scored. But again, man, Badji's a great guy, dude. We're all big Badji fans.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's ever really hated on him, and if you are, how I said, you're just kind of hating to hate at that point. Also, real quick, by the way, I forgot to mention it off the top. Mitch might be joining us a little bit later. He's at the press conference. He's going to try to get some snippets, some quotes from Frazier and some of the guys. So at the end of the show, we might have Brown to give the fella some flowers, and he'll bring in some cool stuff from the presser today. So one other player that really stood out to me negatively was your guy, Kevin Cabral. And I want to say that Kevin Cabral, I say that in a way that you actually drafted him in our guy draft.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
I don't mean that as a slight at all, but like, what did you see from Kevin? I know you've been on both sides of the argument for him, that you loved Kevin and now you're kind of out on him. So what did you see from him today, and what were your feelings as the game went on?
I'm frustrated, man. Like, I can't speak to the first half at all because I sit on the wrong end of the stadium to speak on the scoring chances. All I can say from the first half is that I was surprised how much defense he was playing. Like, it seemed like he was always down on our end, and I'm like, shouldn't you be on the other end? But anyway, Second half was frustrating. I don't know who it was, because I can't remember. Somebody came down on the left side in the second half. Um, had a quick run all the way down, and by the time they got there to center the ball, uh, Cabral was nowhere to be found. The same is true for Hanya because both Hanya and Cabral showed up like 10 minutes late to the party, and it's just
Yeah.
like, had either of those guys been there, that would have been probably the best chance for a cross, because Cincy's defense is top. They have great defense, and it was a rare chance where there was like a wide gap in the middle, and they actually could have put that ball there. So that was one thing that was frustrating. There was another one where the ball, and I saw this from where I was sitting. uh, it looked like it literally rolled over top of Cabral's foot. And if he had like a spasm or anything where his foot just like moved, it would have pushed the ball into the net.
We're talking about a
And I'm just
draw
like,
instead of a loss at this point.
yeah. And so, like, I'm not gonna crap all over the guy, because I still do think there's something there. He's so fast, like there is something there, but um I don't know what it is, man. And it's like I'm just waiting for the summer window at this point, because I would just put anybody in at the 9 than what we have. Like we haven't solved it, and that's not on Cabral like all by himself.
Yeah.
Like we haven't solved the 9 in years, and we still haven't solved it.
I think last year might have been the closest that you got it to being soft with
Yeah,
Giossi and
yeah,
Rubio.
with having Giassi and Rubio was pretty nice.
I think that's the closest the Rapids have been maybe since the Connor Case era. Like that might be
That
the
was a long
closest.
time ago.
I mean, that's the last time you like.
Omar Cummings, maybe.
I mean, even then,
Deshaun Brown. I mean, I'm really getting into the weeds here.
I mean, at that point, it's just like you just kind of start naming guys. Badji could have been that guy that solved it too for a year.
Yeah,
Like literally, like you can just keep throwing names out there. But if they're not here anymore or they're not well known, was it really solved, or was it just kind of a stopgap? And
yeah,
and that's the thing. I think Cabral, unfortunately, isn't that guy. Um, he's overpaid. I think the Galaxy gave him a horrible contract when he came over.
yep,
I think they didn't have great evaluators. I like the idea that Frazier hadn't taken a chance on a guy with super talent, and then
true.
it just he's not that guy. And now you have are handicapped with that DP spot, and you're gonna have to find a way to get that DP spot if you guys want another guy. But again, it feels like the Rapids don't want another DP. They got two right now, three I think if Jack still counts, and I don't know if they want those three again. And if you're gonna keep Cabral, you're just gonna tire yourself. Well, he'll improve, and he just might stay there. To me, I see Cabral, and I see the anti Jokic. I see the complete opposite of what Jokic is. I see a guy that's super talented, but is lacking a little bit on the soccer IQ. And what is Jokic? He's a guy that doesn't have all the traditional skill sets of a superstar, but he has the basketball IQ to get to the next level. And that's kind of what I see with those two. To me, it's not what Cabral can do or not do. It just feels like it has to get more through the head of what he's capable of doing. Kind of
Yeah,
get it to me. It feels a lot like a mental block for him.
yeah, and that's what I think that's a good way to put it. And again, because it's like I'm not trying to poop on the guy.
Oh, poop all over him, dude. We have plenty
So,
of all
well,
over
I
him.
mean, for me, like I still think there's something there, but I do think it's kind of what you're saying about, there's some kind of um, mental barrier in getting, figuring out where to be, And I think it's different than the Bassett thing before Bassett left, because Bassett seemed to always be in the right place at the right time,
Yeah,
but the ball just didn't go in the net. It would always go off the crossbar, off one of the posts. Um, it doesn't feel like that at all, because like Bassett had a nose for being in the right place at the right time.
I still remember that goal where
Great
he
to
was
see him
running
back, by
forward.
the way.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and well, I'm trying to like
yeah, we'll get
from
to that
bad to
later. Yeah,
good
yeah,
to like.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
trying to get all the negative out, so when Mitch comes in, all you have to do is like talk positive. I'm just trying to set up our boy Mitch to have a better night than we are right now.
Yeah, Mitch is sick, so he's not feeling too great. So
Yeah,
it's awesome
exactly.
that he toughed it out tonight.
Yeah, so well, that's over. Like I'm just trying to get my boy Mitch a good 5 to 10 minutes, just play all the hits, and he doesn't have to get into the weeds. So, but it's true. Like that's what, especially in that second half, you saw Kevin Cabral a lot. He was at the edge of the box and he was dancing with the ball. He wasn't precise. He wasn't moving it. He was just trying to get through a guy without even touching the ball at that point. And that's not how you play good soccer. And that's how
yeah,
most of these Rapids have been playing lately. There's no movement. There's no creativity. There's nothing going on for me to think something's gonna change. I tweeted out once that first goal went in, it felt like the Rapids were down 100-0 because there was
yeah.
nothing going on. It felt deflating. It felt like the longer you kept the 0-0, the more it felt like a win. Once that goal went in, it just you didn't know what was going on anymore. You just felt like the world was about to end, literally.
That's dramatic.
I mean, it did. It felt at that point when you're in that game, when you're looking at that game, it feels like it's over. Everything's over. There's nothing else to live for. Like
Yeah,
if you
it's
live inside
hard.
this team,
It's hard as a Rapids fan to go down 1-0, because knowing that it's very, very, very difficult for us to score goals. You're right. It feels like it's something we cannot overcome, a 1-0 deficit, which is crazy. It's
I
just
hate it.
craziness.
I hate it so much. I've watched the comeback teams for all my life. Especially if you watch like the Avalanche last year. All they did was come back from games, and you were like, yeah, like they got down 2-0, and you're like, the Avs still winning, and you'd gamble $20 on it, and you're like, yeah, I just made a bunch of money because that happens constantly. But this is my thing. The Rapids don't have. It feels like they're missing an injection of want, and they need to get it from somewhere. And before we get into all the good stuff, I'm gonna let Dwayne take a little small break because he needs to take out his dog.
No,
And
he's cool now. He's
okay, so he's all good to go.
yeah.
Okay,
I
awesome.
was afraid he was going to start barking and whining, but he's given up, and he's throwing in the towel and just
Yeah,
laying down back there.
I was more afraid Rocket was about to go crazy, and I'm like, we gotta make sure Rocket's okay, man.
No, he's good.
But kind of talking about that injection of want, the second half comes around, and the man of the hour, the man that we're all waiting to see, Moise Bombito comes on.
Holy smokes.
What did you think of the Meg? This dude to me is Megatron. He is what the prototypical defender is going to be in the future. How good was Moise Bombito?
He was amazing. And the cool thing was that this is the first time I've seen him being down in my normal seats, which is fairly close to the pitch, and seeing just how big he is. Like,
Dude is
he's
built
a
like a man.
brick.
He's built like a
He is
man.
yes, he is huge compared to the rest of the squad. He's a brick. No, it was, I mean, look, there were three shots in particular that just obviously none of them went in, but they were just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, what shots. And two of them were by guys that you have already given low grades on already.
Yeah. Again,
But the
one.
other
Yeah.
one,
That was the first half to me. Just
yeah,
first
yeah, well,
half.
this is all second half,
Yeah.
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 But the other one was that shot by Bombito, and like, oh my gosh, like,
Just the way he brings down the ball with
yes,
plain control is able to hold the ball enough to find a space in front of the goal against a really good defense. And again, he's not a forward. If you can shoot it, he'd be up top, right? Great shot and a great save. But Moise is the real deal. Dude has the speed. He has the ball skills. It feels like it all clicks in his head too. He
Yep.
knows what's needed to win.
He knows where to be. And the fact that he took a shot. Again, we've talked about this not just with Cabral or whoever, or Sam or Lewis or whoever. It's the part of the issue with the Rapids is that they don't let go of the ball. It's like they get close to the box, and then you could take a look and give the ball to somebody else, or you could just dribble it for a while and then get the ball taken away from you. And more times than not, it's the latter of those. And
I
we
mean, that
certainly
was
saw
Kevin
that.
Cabral.
That was Kevin Cabral. But in the second half, I will give a shout out to Cabral, because he did have a shot that the keeper made a pretty great save on. That was a pretty spectacular shot, in that going down into a slide tackle to, from the ground, wrap around the defender and manage to kick that ball and get it on net, was a pretty neat shot to watch, at least from where I was sitting. It was pretty sweet.
I mean,
So,
that second half is day and night from
oh,
the first
totally.
half.
They actually put pressure on Cincinnati, which was the opposite of the first half.
They controlled the game in the second half. Honestly, like Brandon Vasquez and Lucho Acosta became non factors in that second half. I thought Maxu and Bombi and Keegan really locked them down and had them, and
Mhm.
Wilson as well really got an eye for what they were doing. And I was all in on them in the second half. I thought Ronan's blast that hit the post too was a great shot.
Oh my gosh, what a great shot.
It brought back memories of a Roberto Carlos and Keegan shot from last year, where it just
Mhm.
like completely curves, and I was like, if that goal goes in, that's goal of the week in my opinion.
Oh yeah, that
Like not
shot was we've been, from the highlight reels when they first brought Ronan on and we didn't know who he was or what he was about. Those highlight reels of those just Ronan shots were crazy, and I thought that was the one. And it was the shot. It just off the post.
that's what you need from Ronan. You need a guy that can shoot it. Like you're not. I don't need you to be Jack. I need you to bring the qualities of Jack. I need you to be able to distribute, but I don't need you to be Jack because Jack's not a shooter. Jack's not trying to bomb it in from 20 feet away. But
Yep.
that's who you are, dude. Like shoot that. You got that in you. Take advantage of what God gave you and get that ball into the net.
Yep.
And when I saw him shoot, I'm like, Ronan, if you. And then I saw him try it three more times, and it hit defenders. And I'm like, I'm all
Dude,
for it.
I
Go for
thought
it.
it was right after that shot off the post. The very next possession, he did it again, and I thought that guy's arm was going to fall off. I mean, he put it so hard on that defender that dudes, once they start to learn that that's coming, they're not going to get in front of that anymore. They're going to learn their lesson.
Yeah, I mean, it's human reaction. Even if you want to be there and try to be tough it out, you're not. It's still gonna hurt. You know it's gonna hurt, so you're gonna try to move. And man, just if Ronan can play like that, if you can get Acosta back into this lineup, and if Bombi can take Lala's spot as much as I love Lawless, I would put Bombi in for Lawless because he does a little bit more of what Lawless does.
Yep.
This team is maybe not winning, right? Maybe it's not gonna make the playoffs, but at least you'll have a fun product on the pitch for fans to watch the game. And that's
Yep.
at this point in the season, that's all you want. Start use these ML if you're not if you're probably not gonna make the playoffs. Use these league games to see what you can do in Leagues Cup. Honestly, see if you can win Leagues Cup. Because if you
Yep.
win Leagues Cup, it's a great season because you made
Yep.
it back to champions and you're gonna enjoy it and it's gonna be fun and that's gonna be one of the better storylines. Horrible season and then you win champions, kind of what happened to Orlando last year,
Yep.
and I'm all for it. And then you also have Bassett coming back today. which again I thought it was way quicker than I expected. I
I
was still
know.
thinking 4th of July because those hamstrings are so iffy whenever you get one.
There was a break in the second half towards the end of the game, and Bassett went tearing off after him, and I was like, "Oh no, please just let it go, Bassett. We're already losing. What's another goal? Just let it go. Please don't get hurt." And it made me so nervous because of all the injuries this year. Because he was sprinting to get back and cover, and that might be the most nervous I've been all season, was watching him sprint back to cover.
It was that
Oh
Michael
gosh.
Scott quote. We were like, "No, God, no!"
No, no,
You're
no.
just, dude. I mean, Bassett's another guy that's a game changer. You get him back
Yes.
on that pitch, dude. He's a complete other game changer. I still believe you need to go get another guy. I still believe you need to go get a superstar. I don't need you to spend $10 million on a guy, but I still believe that. But if you bring Bassett and you have a Rubio, Bombi develops, and maybe even you get Jack next year, you're cooking with some gas at that point. Because I've told you guys, I haven't said it on the pod yet, but I've told you and Mitch, this team, unfortunately, right now is full of role players. It's full of a lot of Robins, and they need a Batman to kind of take everything to the next level. That Batman for a long time was Jack Price that took everything to the next level. He was your guy. He was the guy that put everything on his back and carried the team a little bit because he had a great set of role players next to him.
Yep.
And right now, that's what the Rapids are missing. They're missing a guy that can put everything on his back and take the Rapids to the promised land, increase the level of everybody else. And unfortunately, right now, it's just not happening. Where do they get that guy? Tune in. We'll talk about it next week. We have a few names on the list that we all want. But at the same time, they need to find somebody that can take them to the next level. And changes still need to happen. This team is still not good. As much as I want to give like a lot of credit for that second half, the results what's gonna matter at the end of the day. Come October, come August, we're not gonna be looking or September, we're not gonna be looking back at May 27th and say that well they had great process, but it just didn't work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they're gonna look back and you're gonna look a big L next to this game and a 1-0 loss. As much as great as Bombito played, as great as I thought Hanya played, and made a difference. Like unfortunately, you're not gonna see that in the score sheet. You're not gonna see that in the result column. All you're gonna see is a loss and 0 points gained.
Yep.
Real quick, I want to ask you, what did you think about the about Hanya?
I've I thought he had a good game, for getting like a whole half. I was really happy to see him come on at halftime, knowing this is his last time he can be called up
Short term, at
from
least.
Rapids too. So it was kind of a use it or lose it situation. I was really happy. Plus Calvin Harris, wasn't, we'll put him in with everything else in the first half. Like, didn't have the greatest game. Had a couple of, one really insane run that you got to see a little bit of his speed, but I thought it was the right substitute to make. So I was happy to see Hanya come on in the second half. He had some good plays, down in my area, as far as like trying to get scrappy and get in there. But again, it's just I hate to harp on that one play. And again, I can't remember who came down on the wing, but it's just like,
Probably it could have been Moise because Moise was all over that week.
yeah, it could have been. I don't know who it was, but again, you come down on the wing and your fastest guy is not there, and Hanya is not. He's no slowpoke either. Um, and it's just, again, it's little mistakes, and I mentioned on Twitter, these are this is, a team that's pressing really hard versus a Rapids team that does the opposite and waits for the counter. And it's going to be a game to see who can not make a mistake, And normally you kind of, for us, like we kind of put that in context of the defensive mistake that puts us behind, which we had that. But what I noticed tonight, and it's probably more prevalent, but it's just I don't get to see the offense as much, is that a lot of those little mistakes on offense, man, could result in multiple goals. And
Oh
you're
yeah,
starting to
easily.
see those little tiny mistakes on offense that we see on defense. And it's just, you can't come back from that. So, anyway, it's hard not to think about that one mistake, but I thought it was great to see him on there. I think he certainly made his case to be brought up, especially with our injury issues. So who knows? Maybe by the end of the season we see him get a contract and we get to see him play again. I wish that we got to see him play more. It's a bummer that we only got to see him play basically one half,
Half a
and
game,
two or
literal half
two
a
or
game.
3 minutes. Yeah, 2 or 3
Yeah.
minutes from another match. But um, yeah,
Who who do you think is the fastest rapid right now? They have speedsters all over. Like you got if you put them all in a row and you have
like just a
Gavon,
sprint.
just a sprint. You got Gavon, Cabral, Lewis, Mikey, Hanya, and am I missing anybody? But
Um,
Moise is speedy too.
Harris is fast too.
Harris, I forgot he played today. I completely
Yeah,
forgot.
Harris
That
is
kind of yeah.
fast. I don't know, man. That would be, and it's. I mean, you want to say Cabral
I think
would
he's lost
probably
a
win
step.
it because, yeah, but he's got the stride. I think his
Ah,
speed plus his stride because, like, otherwise, I'd almost want to say Mikey, but he has the opposite of long stride. He's got legs like mine, which are
got little tree
very
stumps
short.
running back and
He's
forth.
taking he's taking 6 steps for every two of Cabral's.
to me, I
Um,
to me it might even be Moise Bombito, and I might be buying into the hype too much, but dude is quick.
he's
His
speedy
recovery
too.
speed is out of this world.
Who was what I noticed, speaking of speed, and this is like a weird speed. I was watching this today, um, in the first half, and Maxu is like, I always wonder, like, how does a big lumbering giant continually get back and cover? Because he plays pretty high. I mean, he's playing a
Yeah,
lot of offense, but he always seems to be able to get back. And I was watching him as everybody was sprinting back towards our goal. And there he is, like, making gains on everybody because he's like the Jolly Green Giant. It's just like these big steps, coming through versus everybody else, their legs pumping, pumping, pumping. And he just has these giant strides and he's just lumbering out there, but it's like deceptively fast, even though his body is not moving that fast.
dude, dude is kind of a freak athlete. He
Hmm.
reminds me a lot of Yoke, a freak athlete in ways that you don't expect.
Yeah,
Like he's kind of again high IQ players, and it's really hard to compare him to like one of the greatest basketball players of all time, different
for
sports and
sure.
different
For sure.
levels of greatness. But they have these guys that like you just look at and you're like, oh wow, like these dudes don't look like the sort of player you think would be great at that position, and then they end up being complete utter beast. And that's kind of what Maxu has been, in my opinion. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, my biggest takeaway is maybe just let Bombito cook. Let Bombi be Moise, let Moise
Yep.
be Bombi. Let it, put him in the
I
starting
agree,
lineup.
man. I
He
agree.
deserves it. Dude's a total baller. I like Moise so much. I don't know. Well, we talked about it too. In our previews, remember if you remember we were talking about it when me and Mitch were really high on him, and then you're like, wow, and then you're like, wow, you saw some game film, you're like, wow, I'm really high on him because dude's
For
another
sure.
beast. Dude knows what he's doing. He has the recovery speed. I say this. He makes some mistakes. He's like 22-year-old kid.
Sure.
He's getting better. But the way if he makes a mistake, he completely runs back and covers his own mistake. That's key to playing defense. The way he pushes forward, knows exactly where to find his space and attack that space, that's key. The way he can control the ball and have it at his feet and not panic and playing defense, At that point, you just have a trifecta. You have a guy that if you put in there, he's gonna give you your all every time. And that was one of the big injections in the second half. And you can really see that he went out there and he wanted it. I said this last pod, 2026. Don't be surprised if you see him starting in that back line for Canada. He is gonna deserve a spot if he keeps playing this way. And also, don't be surprised if he's out of Denver or Colorado in the next 3 years, 2 to 3 years.
I hate
He's
that, but you're right.
Canada's producing players like this right now, left and right. And my biggest one is Ismail Kone. Ismail Kone is at 6, but he plays like Bombi. He has that recovery speed. He's a big, tall, lanky dude. The only difference is that Ismail Kone stayed at the 6, while Bombi transitioned to the back line. But those two, that's a guy that if I'm Bombi, I want to be compared to. He just left Montreal and now he's playing for, I think, the Rangers out in
Yeah, I don't
Europe.
know.
Like I'm not 100% sure, but if you want to compare it to him, that's the guy you want to compare him to. Great ball skills, great vision, and is gonna give you 110 every time. I don't know, man. I'm a huge Bombi guy. I'm a big Hanya guy. I want to see Hanya get a full time contract.
I
They
do
need.
too. I really do. Like I mean, it's hard to say in a half game that he's earned it, but his play with Rapids 2 has been super solid. I thought he played well today. Given all of our injuries, yellow card accumulations, and the fact that we're constantly struggling to, fill the midfield, sign him. Bring him on. I'm ready for Yosuke time.
I mean, give me Hanya, man. Um, Before we move on to give some flowers to the fellas, I want to talk about our sponsor, Illegal Pete's. Are you ready for the longest happy hour around? Kicking off on May 26th, and Illegal Pizza locations have extended their happy hours to 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day. 5 hours of all our usual fan favorite deals. Stop by after work and enjoy a few extra margaritas on the patio at happy hour price. I'm a patio guy. I'm a patio guy all the way around. I love chilling, and I mean it's great. Are you a patio dude, by the way? Are
Totally
you
a patio, dude.
patio? I mean, how can you go wrong with the patio? Honestly, like you put
There's
some
no
shade,
humidity in Colorado.
especially you put some shady rays on. You sit outside, and you have a great queso dip right there. It's great, man. More of a beer fan. Grab a house, have a house beer bucket for you and your crew. 5 16-ounce beers for $15. There's no better way to kick off your summer. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. I laugh because I don't do ad reads because I can barely read. I am My mom says I am illiterate, and I believe her half the time. Uh,
I always enjoyed a good yaya read.
yeah, dude. Honestly, guys, if you think I'm low energy right now, it's because I am. I am tired. It's been a long season, and we're barely halfway through. It's hot. The Rapids are not playing good. Like my highlight of every week was getting to sit down at my house and watch the Rapids play. Right now, my highlight is watching the Rapids game end, so I can talk to Dwayne and Mitch about how sad I am, and then I can talk to all of you guys. That's how I feel. That's at the point I am right now, because it is tough. It is tough to watch this team, and I love this team. I cry for this team. I'm in a bad mood when this team loses, but at this point, I feel so disconnected. I feel so out of it. Oh, dude,
Ricardo gets it.
if they had that, man, they'd have Rapids fans everywhere, drunk as hell. Because one beer
It's
in, and
true.
you're like, that sadness is not going away with one beer. You need 3 cocktails and about 2 more buckets for it to go away. But right now, if you see me, if I'm down energy compared to how I usually act on these shows, that's because this team is not good. It's drained me, and it sucks because I love this team and I just want it to be good. I begged for this beat 2 years ago. I begged and begged, and now we finally get to do DNVR Rapids, and this is the soccer that we're watching, and I'm like, this sucks. I hate it so much. And it sucks even more because I don't believe this, but I told Mitch and Dwayne the Rapids increments come in 5 to 6 years when good things happen. 2010, 2016, and 2021 are all 5 to 6 years apart. So unfortunately, we still got about 3 years left if this is true before we get anything good.
I hope we break that streak.
I am begging, I am praying, I am lighting Rapid Man candles, I am doing what I need to do for that to be a lie and be a coincidence.
It's
So, you ready for the best
rough
part of the
times.
show?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Let's do flowers from the fellas. Unfortunately, Mitch is feeling a little down still, so he might not be able to come in and give us some tidbits. But if you go to DNVR_Rapids, he'll give you a lot of cool stuff. He'll talk about all the things that went down in that presser and his thoughts on that. Um, but we're hoping that you feel better, Mitch. We love you, and man, give some flowers, Dwayne. Give some flowers from the fella.
All right. Well, I know which one you're going to give, so I'm going to save that one for you. So I'm going to go with Yosuke Hanya. So
Does he follow you back
just
on Twitter yet, or no?
no, it's fine. Just you, Raya. We get it.
Oh,
We
that's
get
weird.
it.
I think he follows me. In case you didn't
um,
know.
no, I just like all three of us, like we're real happy. Real happy for Yosuke. Just happy that he's finally got some legit minutes. Got to come in for a whole half, and we got to see him with the one squad. We know he's doing great down at with Rapids 2. So it was just really great to see him come in and play significant minutes. I thought he looked good. I sure hope it results in a contract because we can't pull him up on short-term loans anymore. That's out now. So, next time we see Yosuke, it's definitely going to be with a contract
I'm
if he's up with the top team.
I'm hoping and just hoping so much that all these call ups are just because all the games are so condensed and so many injuries. And now that they're out of Open Cup and they're gonna start expanding, they're not gonna be as condensed anymore. They'll be able to get a few more people
I would love that.
back and actually start playing the real starting lineup and a bunch of subs. I,
Yeah.
and you already know who my flowers go to. I actually got
Yeah.
two, but we'll go with the obvious one, and that's Bombi. Moise for Bombi needs to be a shirt that DNVR can make, but somebody should. uh, that dude, Bombito, I'm telling you, Bombito is that dude. It's him. He needs to be starting. He needs to be that guy. Honestly, he might even. I'm even considering put him in the midfield with Ronan and see what happens. That seems like a fun
I mean, he
combination.
started there, I mean, that's his first position, so it's not the craziest thing.
Honestly, one thing that really stuck in my head when they drafted him, it was I don't remember if it was Weeby or what was the other guy? Weeby or who's the extra time guys? I forgot. I escaping his name right now.
Tommy Scoops.
No, not Time of Scoop. Um, David. No, not David Goss. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on this guy.
Well, you've got three now. You only got
Matt
one more.
Doyle. Matt Doyle. I don't remember if it was Weeby or Doyle when the Rapids drafted Bombi. They said this guy will become the one of the prototypes for the league, and maybe not because he becomes a star, but more teams are going to start looking at players that convert from the six to a center back because of ball skills.
Yep.
And if that happens, Bombi will become the prototype and he will become the guy that you want in a league like this. Guy with so many ball skills. And I'm going to be so happy when it happens because I think he's going to. Bombi to me is national team, maybe not top five league in Europe, but he can play in Europe in one of the better leagues. He can be a centerpiece for that Canadian team that already has so much young talent with Alfonso Davies and Jonathan David, and then you still got Mark Anthony K. You have so many things building, and I think Bombito is gonna be in the middle of that core, that whole play that's building and bubbling up, and I'm just so excited that for what Bombi can become and what he's gonna become for the Rapids, and I just can't wait because I'm a huge Bombi guy. He is the bomb, and I can't wait for him to develop into what his full potential is.
Facts.
Well,
Facts.
Do you have another one?
Yeah, I do. My other one, I'll keep it to 2 for tonight.
That's
I
kind of what
think
I'm
this
doing.
this one kind of went under the radar a little bit, but this is a guy who really got involved in the offense, even in the first half when the offense was almost invisible. Um, but that was Keegan. Like I
Yeah.
thought Keegan was showing a lot of grittiness tonight. You sort of, I mean, even after that presser, after Wednesday, you kind of get the feeling that Keegan's getting a little pissed, and it's starting to show a little bit in the best possible way. Like he was really driving the ball and not getting rid of it, pushing it up to a forward, but becoming that guy who's trying to get the shots on goal. And like we talked about with Ronan, like that's what we need right now is we need to take that shot from the outside and put something on net. Because if like Cabral is not going to be there in a scoring situation, maybe he can be there in a cleanup situation. Almost like a Giassi or something like that. And so when Keegan runs in and is taking it on himself to really put the ball on net, that's something we desperately need. And he was all over the pitch, back and forth, whether it was saving the day on defense or trying to get some shots off from the outside. Like the dude was there as always. He always is.
Mr.
It's just
Reliable.
Keegan. Yep, he's
I
just
mean,
there, and you don't always notice it because you're so used to it. But yeah, that's my other ones for tonight. He was there like he always is.
when it comes to defenders, the best part about him is when you don't notice them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for that. My last shout out of the night because it's getting late. It's 11 o'clock, and all you hooligans also need to go to bed. Like it's a Saturday night. You guys should be all in bed. What are you guys doing? But
But
my shout out,
hit that like button before you go.
smash the like and don't forget to subscribe. I'm gonna start doing a bunch of Mr. Beast, kind of like, don't forget to hit the like and give us a subscribe, and we're gonna love it every time. Let's go. I'm just gonna start doing more of those. Get really hyped for those for no reason.
Yeah, Mr. Beast Vasquez.
No, the way I call myself is yeah, Mr. Beast, yeah. I just spit the yeah into two, and that's how I get my.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So it's like Gary Harris. If I were to do the same thing, it would be yeah, 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 yeah. I I can't go to sleep sometimes, and I think about things that I shouldn't. Anyway, at the end of the night, my shout out goes to all of you guys. Everybody who went out to the game. Stadium looked pretty good. Not I won't say to full capacity, but there was a larger crowd than usual. I respect that. The team's not good, and I appreciate you guys showing out every day and supporting the squad. At the end of the day, this is our squad. No matter who owns it, no matter who cares for it, no matter who's running it, this is our team because it's our it's based in our city and we support it. This team is can only grow from here. And this growth comes because of people like you that go to the game and support the team. So always, even in the bad times, always take into the account that this is still your team. This is a team that you love and you chose to support. And I appreciate you guys for giving that love and so much appreciation to the squad. Because even though I'm not running it, it still feels like it's my team because I love this team. I know if you follow the squad, you feel like it's your squad. So again, I appreciate everyone that went out there and was able to support the squad out there, especially with iffy weather.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It got a little drizzly towards the end, but for the most part, it was stayed dry for the game, which was awesome. But yeah, this is the dark times, right? This is where it's going to be the hardest to get excited to go over to the Richard and support our squad. So, this is the difference between the supporters and just people who sometimes watch the Rapids. C38 is going to be there every match. They're going to be loud, uh, regardless if a goal is scored or not. They're going to be there representing. And those of us who don't sit with C38 and sit everywhere else, it's our opportunity to still be there, be loud, be visible, regardless of what the score is, or if you're real sad right now, if you're on Sad Boys FC, or if you don't care and you're just there to have fun either way. These next few matches are going to be where it's time to show up because they need it, even if it's going to be extra challenging every game.
Yo, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. Look at the Avalanche. They had the right before they had the worst season of all time. They had a decent season and made the playoffs. And then they had the worst season of all time. Then they grew up and they won a Stanley Cup. Same thing with the Nuggets. Nuggets had one of the worst seasons of had a great season with George Carroll right in 2011, and then they were 2012 whatever it was, and then they grew up and now they're at the verge of winning a finals. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. It might not be close, it might not be imminent, but it's always gonna be there, and there will be brighter days for Rapids fans. And all you have to do is stick it out because you chose to follow this club. Also, shout out the Spanish commentary out there, man. The Spanish commentary was hyping up Denver tonight. Talking about the Denver Nuggets winning a championship, talking about the Avs winning a championship, talking about how Broncos are a super winning club, and then they just mentioned how great the stadium was for the Rockies, and then they brought up how the Rapids could be up next with a few adjustments. So shout out them, man. Spanish commentary was hyping up the city of Denver. You love to see it.
It's awesome.
So again, guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Sorry Mitch wasn't able to come on. He's feeling a little down under the weather right now. But again, head over to DNVR Rapids DNVR underscore Rapids to follow all that great coverage that he does on Twitter. Give us a like and give us a 5-star review wherever you hear us, whether it be Spotify, Apple TV, or Apple TV, Apple Podcast, or anything else. Anything else to plug, Dwayne?
No, just you don't want to miss our midweek show. Those of you that are wondering what should we do about all this and how do we start scoring goals, whatever, what does the summer window look like, what options are out there, this is the show for you. There's been a lot of research already going into it already from Yaya, from our intern Charlotte, who's going to be coming back even though her internship is over, to share some of the analysis she's done. But we're really going to get into it. It's going to be it's going to be a good show this week, to really get into the weeds of what the possibilities are and which ones are pie in the sky, forget about it, but still fun to talk about, and then which ones are a little more realistic. So
Yeah, they might need to start dreaming pie in the sky at this point if they want to get good. So,
I'm for it. I'm for it.
so we have a bunch of names. Yeah, Charlotte helped me out a bunch. Like I have a bunch of names from like from second division out in Spain, I think, and some guys out in like Chile in the Chilean league. So I did my research. Charlotte did her research. We have a great a great
It's going to be
list
a
of
good
players.
show.
It's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of fun. But most importantly than all, and Mitch does this perfectly, so I'm sorry if I butcher it.
And
Uh,
Justin gets it.
and Justin knows, so drop it in the chat if you already have it. Up the Pids.